If I were to create a study of 100 million people and ask them who has experienced loss, 100 million people would check the box indicating that they had. If I asked, is loss good for you? I would get a variety of results. In the past few weeks, I've asked several people if they think loss is beneficial to the human race, and about half answered, not so much, and the others hesitantly answered yes. So the question is loss good for us? Well, all of us experience loss. It's a fact of life. It's a part of being human. Yet what we do with that loss can change our lives. I believe that loss, from the loss of keys to even a more significant loss, is good for us. Loss benefits us. If we continually deal with loss in an inefficient manner, however, we will suffer needlessly and painfully, and we may grow bitter and become angry, lonely, or even depressed. As I state this, many of my audience can probably give me millions of reasons why their loss is harder, more difficult, or that nothing good came from it. Many of you say loss is not good, that it leaves a mark, that it can destroy you. There are stories of pain and suffering that I cannot even presume to understand or even comprehend. Laurer said, for the loss of a child is the worst loss that someone can suffer or even ever face. I have lost 7 children before I even got to hold them in my arms. I would like to speak to you on this delicate subject with respect to all of those who've experienced losses, and that is to say, everyone. Look to your right and your left. Think about your neighbor and your friend. Now, can you tell me what their losses are? Does anybody know all of yours? Isn't there at least one loss that you really could have done without? Of course. I cannot say that the benefit of your loss is more desirable than what you've lost, but I can say that you would not be who you are today if you hadn't experienced this pain of loss. Loss in all forms can be good and beneficial. Understanding and dealing appropriately with loss can create healing and a better understanding of life altogether, creating meaning in something that we may once have seemed beyond comprehension or perhaps even baffling. There are studies that say it is critical to keep a positive view of grief in mind because it facilitates our growth rather than simply mending the loss. I believe that loss is good. It facilitates our growth and it strengthens us. We all experience loss, whether it be simple losses like the loss of our keys to the loss of a wallet, the loss of an idea, a dream, or even a wish. Loss is an experience that we all face in our lives, and I wonder if we even realize the loss that we experience daily. We lose dreams, ideas, lives we may have had, simple interactions with people, or a chance to be someone different than we are now. Each loss changes us. It changes who we are. It changes our future, and it changes who we will become from that moment on. Loss is an inescapable part of our human existence. In such a world, the secret of living is not just to make loss something that you can deal with, but to make it meaningful. So, how can we live each day with loss? Each day we experience these micro losses that change our everyday living. These losses for a child may be each day failing to accomplish a task, losing a toy, or dropping something off of their dinner plate. Young athletes experience these losses several times during practices. Each day, coaches take these small children who can barely even read and teach them complicated skills. Lessons like this can only be taught by failing over and over and experiencing that loss each time. Children in school feel this pain when they're picked last on the playground. Teenagers who are denied a date or a group of friends often feel the bitter stings of this loss almost daily. But these small lessons gradually teach each one of us powerful and helpful lessons for everyday living. Now, we can all pat ourselves on the back here because we've experienced these losses. We can do it. It's not going to wreck our lives. And congratulations, you did. These losses, though, imagine that you did not have these. What would happen in your life if you've never experienced this? How would you deal with something that you've never before faced? These lessons each day teach us unimaginable experiences that we learn and grow from. oftentimes without ever knowing the specific lessons that we have learned. David Walsh says, "There is nothing real in life that makes life painless. Accepting the pain of living and knowing one heart will and should be broken is the beginning of wisdom." Part of the truth of loss is that it carries with it pain. And without this fear, without feeling that what you are going through is not worth it, then the lessons are not learned. And at time, we may want the wisdom that we may not want the wisdom we are granted, but desperately desire a different outcome. In time, we can appreciate the lessons that we have learned, but at the moment, we cry out for what we once had. If this is how we end our loss, then we have lost again. The strength that we gain from loss is not immediate. It takes time for these wounds to heal and time to see the benefit of our losses. We struggle for the answer to the riddle why, because we want control. Give us a way to make sure that we will not lose again, but God gives this privilege to no one. Loss in our lives is good. It demands of us our growth, painful though it might be. Loss shapes and changes us, weaving into our lives a pattern that we cannot see, and giving us moments of pain and sorrow, but more importantly, of growth and strength. Just as steel cannot be made strong without the painful process of fire, we cannot grow without the painful process of loss. We may never lose the temptation to wish for what once was, but we can benefit from the losses that we have suffered. Loss is good for you. It's good for me. It strengthens you, it builds you up, and changes you in ways that are unseen by the human eye. It makes you strong and purifies your weaknesses. So take a moment and think. And I challenge you to take your loss, turn it, bend it, rework it, and shape it for your good.